Look, I have been a station medical officer for the Galactic Health Authority for 16 cycles now. 16 cycles. I have seen things that would make your sensory organs curl up and die. I have treated Vraxian gut rot, Pelion scale disease, and once, just once, I had to extract a living Zorbite from someone's digestive tract. Do not ask me how it got there. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for the day they brought in Tyler Kane. My name is Krell, by the way. I am a Thulian. We are the reasonable ones in this galaxy. 4 arms, excellent bedside manner, and a constitution that can handle pretty much anything biological. Or so I thought. It started on a Tuesday. Well, not a Tuesday exactly, because humans are the only species narcissistic enough to name their planetary rotation cycles after ancient gods, but you get the idea. It was the 3rd rotation of the standard week, and I was enjoying a nice cup of mineral extract when my assistant, a jumpy little fennec named Pip, burst into my office. Dr. Krell, you need to see this right now," Pip squeaked, all 6 of his whiskers twitching with excitement or terror. With fennecs, it is hard to tell the difference. I did not even look up from my reports. Pip, unless someone is actively dying in the waiting room. I am on break. Someone might be dying. Or they should be dying. Or they are not dying when they definitely should be dying. Pip's voice went up at the end like he was asking a question that got my attention. I set down my cup, which was a shame because I had just gotten the temperature right. Explain. Use complete sentences this time. They are bringing in a human from the Outer Reach Station 7. There was an incident. Pip pulled up a holo display, and I felt my primary stomach drop into my secondary one. The display showed what used to be Outer Reach Station 7. Now it looked like someone had taken a cosmic eraser to it, and the entire northwestern quadrant was just gone. Not destroyed. Gone. Atomized. The readings that scrolled past made even less sense. "Is that a gamma radiation signature?" I asked, leaning closer. "Gamma, delta, epsilon, and about 6 other types we do not have names for yet," Pip confirmed. The station passed through an uncharted stellar remnant field. The radiation burst lasted 47 seconds. I did the math in my head. 47 seconds of that kind of exposure? How many survivors? 1. 1 out of how many? 1 out of 342. I stared at Pip. Pip stared back at me. His whiskers had stopped twitching, which was somehow worse. "What species?" I finally asked, though part of me already knew the answer. "A human?" Of course it was a human. It is always a human. They are like the galaxy's cockroaches, except cockroaches have the decency to stay in the shadows. Humans? Humans will walk into a radiation cloud that could sterilize a small moon and somehow come out asking if anyone has seen their hat. "Is he in a stasis pod?" I asked, already pulling up treatment protocols. "No, he is awake. Walking. Talking. He keeps asking about someone named Jennifer." I closed all 4 of my eyes and counted to 10 in 3 different languages. "Pip, are you telling me that a human walked out of a radiation event that killed 341 other beings from a dozen different species, and he is ambulatory?" "Yes, Dr. Krell." "And lucid?" "He seems very concerned about Jennifer." "Who is Jennifer?" "We think she was his partner. She did not make it." "Great. So not only was I about to examine a walking impossibility, but he was also going to be emotionally compromised." Fantastic. Just fantastic. The transport arrived 15 minutes later. I had spent that time pulling up every piece of human medical data I could find, which was surprisingly extensive given that humans had only been part of the galactic community for about 80 standard years. Apparently, they had a habit of getting into situations that required medical documentation. When the doors opened, I got my first look at Tyler Kane, and I immediately understood why the galaxy both feared and loved humans in equal measure. He was tall by human standards, maybe 6 feet if I remembered their measurement system correctly. Dark hair, gray eyes, and skin that should have been sloughing off in sheets but instead looked like he had a mild sunburn. He was wearing the tattered remains of a station utility uniform, and he was walking under his own power. Walking. Under his own power. After 47 seconds of omnicidal radiation. "Are you the doc?" he asked, and his voice was rough but steady. "I am Dr. Krell, yes. Mr. Kane, I need you to sit down immediately. I need to know about Jennifer." Jennifer Hale. She was in the bio lab when it happened. Someone said she was. They said she was. His voice cracked, and I saw genuine pain flash across his face. I looked at Pip, who shook his head slightly. Jennifer Hale was dead. Of course she was. Everyone was dead. Everyone except the man standing in front of me who, by all rights and all laws of biology, should be a puddle of organic soup. "Mr. Kane, I promise we will discuss Jennifer, but first I need to examine you. You have been exposed to lethal levels of radiation." He laughed. Actually laughed. It was not a happy sound. "Yeah, no kidding. I was there. I felt it when it hit. Like being inside a star that was also screaming." That was actually a fairly accurate description of what multispectrum radiation exposure felt like, based on the few documented survivors of much lesser events. The fact that he could describe it meant his neural pathways were still functioning. They should not be functioning. They should be misfiring randomly while his brain turned into a liquid. "Sit. Down. Now." I used my command voice, the one I reserved for drunk Vraxians who thought they could fight a medical scanner. To my surprise, he sat. Maybe he was more shaken than he appeared. I began the examination, and with each passing second, my confusion grew into something approaching existential dread. His vitals were not just stable. They were improving. His cell structure showed signs of radiation damage, yes, but also active repair. It's not stasis-induced repair. Active, ongoing cellular regeneration happening in real time. "Mr. Kane, have you had any genetic modifications?" I asked, running a scanner over his arm for the third time. "No. Well, I had my appendix out when I was 12, but I do not think that counts. Any exposure to mutagenic substances? Experimental treatments? Alien artifacts that granted you mysterious powers?" He gave me a look that I had come to recognize as the human expression for "you are being ridiculous." "Doc? I am an agricultural engineer. The most exotic thing I work with is hydroponic tomatoes." Pip leaned over and whispered, "His cellular regeneration rate is accelerating." "I can see that, Pip," I hissed back. Then to Kane, "How do you feel? And please be specific." He thought about it for a moment, and I appreciated that he was taking the question seriously. "Tired. Really tired. Like I have been awake for 3 days. My skin feels hot. My mouth tastes like copper. And I have this weird pressure behind my eyes. All classic radiation sickness symptoms. Except he should also be bleeding from every orifice, his hair should be falling out, and his organs should be shutting down one by one. Instead, he was describing what a human might feel after a bad case of the flu. I pulled up a genetic scanner and ran a deep tissue analysis. The results made me wish I had consumed something stronger than mineral extract. "Pip, get me a comparative analysis. Human baseline genome versus Mr. Kane's current readings." While Pip worked on that, I continued the physical examination. His reflexes were sharp. His lung function was at 93%, which was remarkable given that he should not have lungs anymore. His heart rate was elevated but steady. "Doc, you are looking at me like I am a bug under a microscope," Kane said quietly. "You are exhibiting biological impossibilities, Mr. Kane. I am trying to determine if you are going to explode." "Will I? I genuinely do not know." He absorbed that with a calm that was either bravery or shock. "What about the others? Is anyone else?" I debated lying, but humans had a peculiar talent for detecting deception. Something about their social evolution as persistence hunters. "No, you are the only one." His face did something complicated. Grief, guilt, confusion, all fighting for dominance. Why? That is what I am trying to determine. Pip made a noise that I had learned meant he had found something interesting. He projected the genetic comparison onto the holo display, and I felt my secondary brain try to file a formal complaint. This cannot be right, I said. I ran it 4 times, Dr. Krell. Kane's genetic structure was changing, not mutating in the random, chaotic way that radiation typically caused. It was adapting. Specific gene sequences were being rewritten to accommodate higher radiation resistance. His cells were evolving defense mechanisms against the exact type of radiation that had hit the station. In real time, while we watched. What? Kane asked, trying to see the display. What is it? Duh. Mr. Kane, your body is adapting to the radiation exposure. Is that good? It should not be possible. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true, I snapped, then caught myself. I apologize. This is outside my experience. Mine too, Doc. He rubbed his face with both hands. I just want to know what happened to Jennifer. There was no easy way to say it. The radiation killed her, Mr. Kane. Instantly. She did not suffer. I watched him process that. Humans had an interesting grief response. Some species keened or displayed elaborate mourning rituals. Humans just sort of folded in on themselves, like a star collapsing. We were supposed to get married next month, he said softly. I had the ring and everything. Was going to propose during the station's winter festival. Pip made a small, sad noise. Fennecs were empathetic little creatures. I am very sorry for your loss, I said, and meant it. I had lost people too, though not in such a dramatic fashion. Kane nodded slowly. Yeah, me too. He looked up at me and his eyes were wet but focused. So what now? You are going to quarantine me, right? Study me? Figure out why I am the lucky winner of the genetic lottery from hell. I appreciated his directness. Yes, actually. You are exhibiting unknown biological properties. The Galactic Health Authority will want to understand this. Will it hurt? I will do my best to ensure it does not. Good enough. He stood up, wavered slightly, then steadied himself. Can I at least get some water? And maybe something to eat? I am starving. Pip scurried off to get sustenance while I continued monitoring Kane's vitals. The regeneration was still accelerating. At this rate, he would be completely healed from the radiation exposure within 72 hours. Healed from something that should have killed him in 72 seconds. You know what the really messed up part is? Kane said, accepting a hydration pack from Pip. What? I am going to live. Everyone else died, and I am going to live. How is that fair? I did not have an answer for that. Fairness was not a concept the universe acknowledged. Over the next few hours, I ran every test I could think of and several I invented on the spot. Kane was patient through all of it, though I could see the exhaustion creeping in. His body might be performing biological miracles, but it was taking a toll. Okay, I need you to explain something to me, Kane said during a break between scans. You keep acting surprised that I am alive. But humans have survived radiation before, right? In much smaller doses, with immediate treatment, yes. But nothing like this. The radiation that hit your station could have sterilized a Class M planet. You should not have survived the first second, let alone 47. Maybe I am just stubborn. Stubbornness does not rewrite genetic code, Mr. Kane. You have not met my mother. Despite everything, I almost laughed. Humans had this terrible habit of making jokes in inappropriate situations. It was simultaneously infuriating and oddly endearing. Pip returned with more test results, and these were even stranger than the previous ones. Dr. Krell, his bone marrow is producing new blood cells at 4 times the normal human rate. 4 times? And his lymphatic system is filtering out radiation-damaged cells faster than we can measure. Kane perked up. Is that good? It is impossible, I corrected. But given that you are already impossible, I suppose we should add it to the list. A chime sounded, indicating an incoming transmission. I pulled it up, and my day somehow got worse. It was from Director Volth of the Galactic Health Authority, and she wanted a full report within the hour. Director Volth was a Pelion, which meant she was approximately 9 feet tall, covered in scales that could deflect small arms fire, and had the personality of a bureaucratic hurricane. She also happened to be my direct superior. "Wonderful," I muttered. "Problem?" Kane asked. "My boss wants a report on you." "What are you going to tell her?" "The truth. That you are a biological anomaly who should be dead but instead appears to be developing adaptive resistance to lethal radiation through mechanisms we do not understand." "Maybe phrase it nicer?" "This is me phrasing it nice." I spent the next hour compiling data while Pip monitored Kane. By the time I was ready to transmit the report, Kane had fallen asleep in the examination chair, snoring softly. Even unconscious, his cellular repair continued. It was like watching evolution happen in fast forward. I sent the report and waited. Director Volth's response came back in less than 10 minutes, which was never a good sign. Immediate quarantine protocols. Transfer subject to Deep Space Research Facility Gamma 7. No exceptions. I read it twice, hoping I had misunderstood. I had not. Gamma 7 was where the Galactic Health Authority sent things they did not understand and were afraid of. Things like the Vortine plague samples, the crystalline parasites from I Stopped Myself. They sent dangerous things to Gamma 7, things that could end civilizations if mishandled. They wanted to send Tyler Kane, a grieving agricultural engineer who happened to survive something impossible, to a facility designed for doomsday pathogens. I looked at the sleeping human, still wearing his tattered uniform, still processing the loss of his partner, and made a decision that would probably cost me my career. I woke him gently. "Mr. Kane, we need to leave. Now." He blinked awake, confused. "What? Why?" "What?" "Because my superiors want to lock you in a research facility and study you like a virus. And while I understand their reasoning, I do not think that is what you deserve." "You are helping me escape?" He sounded skeptical. "I am facilitating your temporary relocation until we can sort this out properly. There is a difference. Doc, you are going to get in trouble for this. Probably. But I did not become a doctor to let the bureaucracy torture survivors." "Get up. Pip, prepare the emergency transport." Pip's ears twitched nervously. "Dr. Krell, this is highly irregular." "So is a human surviving planet killing radiation, Pip. Today is a day for irregular." I grabbed a medical kit and some supplies while Kane pulled himself together. His movements were stiff, but he was mobile. That would have to be enough. "Where are we going?" Kane asked as we moved through the back corridors of the medical facility. "I have a colleague, Dr. Wren. She works at an independent research station in the Epsilon sector. She owes me a favor, and more importantly, she does not report to Director Volth." "You are risking a lot for someone you just met." I stopped and looked at him. "Mr. Kane, you survived something that killed 341 people. Your body is doing things that could revolutionize our understanding of biology and adaptation. But before you are a scientific miracle, you are a person who just lost someone he loved. You deserve time to grieve and to understand what is happening to you before they strap you to an examination table and take you apart piece by piece." He was quiet for a moment. "Thank you, Doc. Thank me when we are not being hunted by the Galactic Health Authority." We reached the emergency transport bay without incident. Pip had prepared a small medical shuttle, bless his nervous little heart. "I am coming with you," Pip announced. "Pip, you do not have to do this. Someone needs to monitor Mr. Kane's vitals. And you are terrible at shuttle navigation." He had a point on both counts. The three of us boarded the shuttle, and I punched in the coordinates for Dr. Wren's station. As we lifted off, alarms began blaring. They had noticed our departure. Hold on, I said, engaging the emergency acceleration. The shuttle lurched forward, and I heard Kane grunt behind me. You okay? I called back. Define okay, he replied. I survived apocalypse radiation, found out my fiancé is dead, discovered I am a science experiment, and now I am on the run from space cops. So yeah, Doc, I am just peachy. The sarcasm was strong with this one. I was starting to like him. We cleared the station's defense perimeter and jumped to faster-than-light travel before they could scramble pursuit. For now, we were safe. But I knew Director Voth would not let this go. She was tenacious, and she had the full authority of the Galactic Health Organization behind her. I looked back at Tyler Kane, who was staring out the viewport at the stars streaking past. He was adapting to lethal radiation, yes. But could he adapt to being the most wanted biological sample in the galaxy? I supposed we were about to find out. The thing about faster-than-light travel is that it gives you a lot of time to think. Too much time, really. 6 hours of watching stars blur past while sitting in a stolen medical shuttle with a biological impossibility and a nervous fennec. Perfect. Tyler Kane had been quiet for the first hour, just staring out the viewport. I did not interrupt him. Grief needed space, and after what he had been through, the man deserved whatever silence he could get. Pip was monitoring his vitals every 15 minutes, and each reading was more baffling than the last. Dr. Krell, Pip whispered, pulling up a holo display. His radiation absorption rate is slowing down. Slowing down? As in stopping? As in reversing? He is expelling the radiation somehow. I leaned over to look at the data. Pip was right. Kane's body was not just repairing the damage anymore. It was actively removing the radiation from his system, filtering it out through his pores, his breath, even his hair follicles. In another 3 hours, he would be completely clean. That is not possible, I said, which I realized was becoming my catchphrase for this entire situation. Should I tell him? Pip asked. Let him rest. He will need his strength when we reach Dr. Wren's station. Do you think she will help us? Wren owes me for covering up that incident with the Zorvian ambassador. She will help. She might complain about it, but she will help. Pip's whiskers twitched. What incident with the Zorvian ambassador? If I told you, it would not be covered up, would it? From the back of the shuttle, Kane spoke up. You know I can hear you, right? These human ears work pretty well. I turned to face him. How much did you hear? Enough to know that my body is doing more weird stuff. And something about a Zorvian ambassador that sounds interesting. The ambassador is classified. Your body doing weird stuff is ongoing. He sat up, and I could see the exhaustion in his eyes. But there was something else, too. Determination. Humans had this quality where they could be beaten down, ground into dust, and still somehow find the will to keep moving forward. It was admirable and terrifying in equal measure. Doc, I need you to level with me. Am I dangerous? The question caught me off guard. What do you mean? I mean, my body is doing things it should not do, adapting to radiation that kills planets. What if it keeps adapting? What if I become some kind of walking biohazard? His voice was steady, but I could hear the fear underneath. I set the shuttle to autopilot and moved to sit across from him. Mr. Kane, from what I have observed, your body is responding to specific threats with targeted adaptations. It is not randomly mutating. You are not going to sprout tentacles or start glowing in the dark. You sure about that? No, but I am reasonably confident. He almost smiled. That is honest, at least. I have found that humans appreciate honesty, even when it is uncomfortable. We do. He rubbed his face with both hands. I keep thinking about Jennifer. About how she was right there and then she was not. How I was right there too, but somehow I am still here. It does not make sense. Very little about this situation makes sense. You think it is because I am human? Like something about human biology that makes us more resistant. It was a good question. One I had been thinking about since the moment he walked into my medical bay. Possibly. Humans are relatively new to galactic society. Your species evolved on a planet with higher radiation levels than most inhabited worlds. Your sun is more active. Your magnetosphere is weaker. You have been dealing with radiation your entire evolutionary history. So we are just naturally tougher? Tougher is one word for it. Stubbornly persistent in defiance of all logic is another. This time he did smile, just a little. Yeah, that sounds about right. An alarm chimed. We were being hailed. I checked the signature and felt my pulse quicken. It was Director Voth. Should I answer? Pip asked nervously. No, definitely not. Ignore it. The hailing continued for another minute, then stopped. But a recorded message began playing instead. Voth's scaled face filled the display, and she did not look happy. Dr. Krell, you have committed a serious breach of protocol by removing Subject Kane from quarantine. I understand you believe you are acting in his best interest, but you are interfering with critical research that could save billions of lives. Return to Station Medical immediately, and we can discuss leniency. The message ended. Kane raised an eyebrow. Subject Kane? That is dehumanizing. That is bureaucracy. They reduce everything to categories and protocols. She said billions of lives. What does she mean? I had been hoping to avoid this conversation, but Kane deserved the truth. Your adaptive abilities could revolutionize medicine. If we could understand how your body targets and repairs radiation damage, we could develop treatments for countless species. We could clean up irradiated planets. We could save people from exposure events that would normally be fatal. So she is not wrong. This could be important. She is not wrong about the potential. She is wrong about the method. Locking you away like a specimen and running invasive tests without your consent is not how we should treat someone who just lost everything. Kane was quiet for a moment. What if I agree to be studied? Would that make this easier? No, I said firmly, because once Director Voth has you, she will not let you go. You will become property of the Galactic Health Authority, a resource to be exploited. I have seen it happen before. To who? A Vexler named Trin. She could regenerate limbs, complete regrowth in 72 hours. They took her to study her abilities, promising it would be temporary. That was 9 years ago. She is still there. The look on Kane's face told me he understood. So we run. We run. At least until we can figure out what is happening to you and how to protect you from becoming a permanent lab specimen. Pip interrupted. Dr. Krell, we are approaching Dr. Wren's station. Should I send our authorization codes? Yes, and include the emergency medical flag. It should get her attention. The station appeared on our view screen, a modest research facility orbiting a gas giant in the Epsilon sector. It was not fancy, but Dr. Rain ran a tight operation. She specialized in xenobiology and had a reputation for being brilliant, abrasive, and fiercely independent. Exactly the kind of person we needed. We received docking clearance within minutes, and I brought the shuttle into the bay with only minimal scraping against the docking clamps. Pip winced at the sound. Your shuttle navigation really is terrible, he muttered. We are alive and docked. That is what matters. Dr. Wren was waiting for us in the bay, arms crossed over her chitinous chest. She was a Keltar, which meant she looked like someone had crossed a praying mantis with a university professor and added a serious attitude problem. Her compound eyes fixed on me as we disembarked. Krell, you better have a good explanation for this, she said, her mandibles clicking in annoyance. I just got a very angry message from the Galactic Health Authority about harboring a fugitive. I can explain. You always say that. And then the explanation is usually something insane. This time it is definitely insane, I admitted. Rayan, meet Tyler Kane, the only survivor of the Outer Reach Station 7 incident. Her eyes shifted to Kane, and I saw her entire demeanor change. Recognition, then calculation, then something that might have been excitement. The radiation survivor? the one whose cellular structure is adapting in real time. You heard about that? Krell, every xenobiologist in the sector heard about that. The data you transmitted before you went rogue is lighting up research channels. She moved closer to Kane, studying him with clinical interest. How do you feel? Being, to his credit, did not back away from the insectoid alien examining him. Like I got hit by a star and lived. So, you know, Peachy. Sarcasm. Good. Means your neural pathways are intact. Rin turned back to me. Bring him to Lab 3. I want to run a full genetic analysis. Rain, he needs rest. He can rest after I figure out why he is not dead. Come on. Lab 3 turned out to be a state-of-the-art medical facility with equipment I had only seen in theoretical journals. Ren might work at an independent station, but she clearly had funding from somewhere. Lie down on the scanner bed, Ren instructed Kane. This will take about 30 minutes, and it is completely non-invasive. You will feel a slight tingling, but no pain. Kane looked at me for confirmation. I nodded, and he complied. The scanner hummed to life, bathing him in a soft blue light. So, Kane said from the scanner bed, does everyone in the galaxy have a reason to be afraid of humans, or is it just me? Ren's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Humans are not feared exactly. You are concerning. You show up in galactic society, claim to be from a death world, and then proceed to survive things that should kill you. It makes people nervous. Death world? Earth. Your planet has higher gravity than standard, more aggressive microbial life, more severe weather patterns, and a frankly alarming number of creatures that want to eat you. By galactic standards, it is classified as a Class 7 death world. Ha. I always thought Australia was the dangerous part. I had no idea what Australia was, but Ren seemed to find it funny. The scan completed, and Ren pulled up the results. I watched her compound eyes widen, which was saying something for a species that already had very large eyes. Oh, this is fascinating, she breathed. Good fascinating or bad fascinating? Kane asked, sitting up. Both. Krell, look at this. I moved to examine the genetic map she had displayed. What I saw made my secondary brain start filing paperwork for early retirement. His DNA has redundancy coding, Ren explained. Backup sequences that activate under stress. It is like his body has a library of potential adaptations just waiting to be used. But all humans have this? I asked. I would need to compare with other human samples, but I suspect they all have some version of it. Mr. Kane's appears to be particularly robust. Kane cleared his throat. Someone want to explain in words that do not require a biology degree? Your body has instructions for how to survive things you have never encountered before, I said. Like a disaster preparation manual written into your genes. So I am naturally prepared for disasters? That explains my dating history. Ren made that clicking sound again. I like him. Can we keep him? He is not a pet, Ren. I know that. I am saying he should stay here while we study this properly. A protected research environment, no bureaucratic oversight, and I promise not to dissect him without permission. That is oddly comforting, Kane said dryly. Pip had been running secondary scans, and he squeaked suddenly. Dr. Rain, I think you should see this. Rain pulled up Pip's display, and her entire posture changed. Oh no. No. What? I moved to look. Oh no. Why are you both saying oh no? Kane demanded. That is not reassuring. Your body is not just adapting to the radiation, Ren said slowly. It is incorporating it, using it. Your cells are converting ambient radiation into energy. There was a long silence. So I am solar-powered now? Kane finally asked. More like universally powered. Any radiation source. You could theoretically survive in environments that would kill every other known species. That is amazing, Pip breathed. That is terrifying, I corrected. Because if Director Volth finds out about this, she will never let him go. He becomes not just a medical curiosity, but a strategic resource. Kane stood up from the scanner bed. Okay, new plan. We figure out how to control this or hide it or something. Because I did not survive Jennifer's death just to become a battery for the galactic government. Agreed, Ren said. I will start working on a way to suppress the radiation absorption signal. Make you appear more normal on standard scans. How long will that take? For a few days, maybe a week. An alarm blared throughout the station. Ren's eyes went to a security display, and she hissed through her mandibles. We have incoming ships. Galactic Health Authority signatures. How did they find us so fast? Pip wailed. My shuttle, I realized. They must have put a tracker on it when they authorized my medical license renewal last month. I should have checked. Kane moved to the display. How many ships? 3 cruisers, Ren said. They mean business. Can we fight them? This is a research station, not a military installation. We have strongly worded complaints, not weapons. I looked at Kane, at Ren, at poor nervous Pip, and made a decision. Then we negotiate. Krell, they will take him, Ren protested. Not if we make them understand what they are dealing with. I opened a communication channel. Director Volth's face appeared, and she looked even less happy than before, which I had not thought possible. Dr. Krell, you are under arrest for violating quarantine protocols and absconding with a critical research subject. Director Volth, with all due respect, Tyler Kane is not a research subject. He is a survivor who deserves time to process his trauma and understand his condition before being locked in a lab. This is not a negotiation. Then it should be. Because what is happening to Mr. Kane is not a medical anomaly. It is a natural human adaptation, and if you treat him like a specimen instead of a person, you will set relations with humanity back decades. Both scales rippled, a sign of agitation. One human's feelings are less important than the potential to save billions. Are they? Kane stepped into view of the camera. Because I am standing right here and I can hear you talking about me like I am a thing. Jennifer died 3 days ago. 3 days. I have not even had time to plan a memorial, and you want to strap me to a table and take me apart. Mr. Kane, I understand you are grieving, but this is bigger than your personal loss. No, it is not. It is exactly the size of my personal loss. And until you understand that, I am not going anywhere with you. There was silence on the channel. I could see Volth calculating, weighing her options. What do you want? She finally asked. Time, Kane said. 1 month. Let Dr. Ren study my condition here with Dr. Krell and Pip assisting. You can have access to all the data. But I stay here, not in some facility designed for doomsday viruses. And after the month? After the month, we talk. If there is a way to help people using what is happening to me, I want to help. But on my terms, not as your prisoner. Volth considered this. 2 weeks, not a month. And I want daily reports. 3 weeks, Kane countered, and reports every other day. I need time to grieve. 3 weeks, daily reports. That is my final offer. Kane looked at me. I nodded slightly. It was better than nothing. Deal, Kane said. Volth's expression suggested she had swallowed something unpleasant. I will be monitoring this situation personally. If you attempt to flee again, Dr. Krell, I will have you charged with obstruction and conspiracy. Understood, Director. The channel closed. Rain let out a breath that sounded like steam escaping from a valve. Well, that was intense. That was stupid, Pip said. What if she comes down here and takes him anyway? She won't, I said. Volth is a bureaucrat, but she is not cruel. She gave her word, and Pellions take that seriously. Kane sat down heavily. 3 weeks to figure out why I am the galaxy's most interesting science experiment. No pressure. We will figure it out, Ren assured him. I have resources and a complete lack of ethical oversight. Again, oddly comforting. The next 3 weeks were a blur of research, testing, and discovery. Ren was brilliant, even if her bedside manner made mine look warm and fuzzy. Pip monitored Kane's vitals obsessively, creating detailed charts that he organized by color, pattern, and mood. And Kane, to his credit, endured it all with a patience I had not expected. He also talked about Jennifer, about their plans, about the life they would never have. I learned that humans processed grief by sharing it, by making their loss real through words. It was different from how my species handled death, but I found it oddly healthy. On day 12, Ren made a breakthrough. I figured it out, she announced, bursting into the common area where Kane and I were playing a card game I had been teaching him. The redundancy coding is not random. It is structured, like a programming language. Meaning? Kane asked, setting down his cards. Meaning humans are not just adapted to survive. You are adapted to evolve. Your species has genetic flexibility built into your DNA. When you encounter something that should kill you, your body can rewrite itself to handle it. So we are like the galaxy's ultimate survivors? Exactly. It is why humans can eat foods that poison other species, survive in temperature ranges that would kill most beings, and apparently, now, absorb radiation that sterilizes planets. I processed this information, so every human has this ability? To varying degrees. Mr. Kane seems to have an unusually active version. But yes, theoretically, any human could develop adaptive resistances given the right circumstances. That is going to make the galaxy very nervous, I observed. Good, Kane said. Maybe they will think twice before treating us like lab rats. On day 18, Kane started teaching Pip how to play an Earth game called poker. Watching a Fennec try to maintain a poker face was one of the funnier things I had witnessed in my medical career. On day 20, Director Voth sent a message requesting a preliminary meeting to discuss the next steps. Kane agreed, with the condition that the meeting happen at Ren's station, not on Voth's ship. On day 21, the final day of our agreement, Kane and I stood in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. I have been thinking, he said quietly, about what Jennifer would want me to do. And what is that? She always said I was too cautious, that I played it safe too much. She would have thought this whole thing, the radiation, the adaptations, all of it, was incredible. She would have wanted me to use it to help people. So you are going to work with the Galactic Health Authority? On my terms, yeah. But I want you and Ren involved. And Pip, I trust you guys. Even though I technically kidnapped you, you saved me from becoming a science experiment without rights. I call that rescue, not kidnapping. The meeting with Director Voth went better than expected. Kane agreed to a research partnership with strict guidelines about his autonomy and rights. Both agreed to provide resources and support for continued study at Ren's station, with the possibility of developing treatments based on Kane's adaptive abilities. It was not perfect, but it was fair. 2 months later, the first radiation treatment based on Kane's genetic adaptations was successfully tested on a Vraxian suffering from exposure sickness. The patient made a full recovery. 6 months later, Kane had helped develop protocols that saved 17 people from a reactor accident in the outer colonies. A year later, he was still living at Ren's station, working as a consultant and research partner. He had scattered Jennifer's ashes in space, in a ceremony that half the station attended. Pip cried. I did not cry, but only because Thulians express grief through color changes, and I spent the whole ceremony looking slightly purple. And Kane? He kept adapting, kept surviving, kept being impossibly, stubbornly human. Because that is what humans do. They take the worst the universe can throw at them, and they find a way to not just survive, but to help others survive too. It is infuriating, inspiring, and absolutely terrifying. And I would not have it any other way.